Hello Spartans and welcome back to another video. So I just got done seeing the Fnaf movie and I'm not gonna lie, I've got only about 5 points that I really want to bring up. I know that in movie review critic videos there's usually more than just 5 things, but I don't want to take up much of your time and I really just want to get to the point of, the point of the movie, get to the conclusion, all that, to express to you how it was. So the 5 points will be as followed: plot, characters, setting, atmosphere, which, by the way, those are 2 different things. A setting and an atmosphere can really set up a movie because they are different. And of course, we have the conclusion, which is my final thoughts and, what I would rate the movie out of 10. And I'm not going to do at a 5 or at a 10 like IGN or anybody else. I'm just going to give you straight to the point how I feel about it. So let's start with plot. The plot revolves around Mike Schmidt, which is the main protagonist of the entire Fnaf movie, which is also the main protagonist of literally Five Nights at Freddy's 1 that was during the time set of 1993. So how they were going to tie all this in together is a little bit beyond me, because if you know the entire extended lore, this is very difficult to put on screen because there's just so much to it. It's really confusing. But for the most part, this is what they went for. And Plumhouse honestly did a pretty good job of it. So plot thickens. Basically, Mike is really bad at keeping a job. So in the first part of the movie, he beats up a guy. Okay, he beats him up because he thinks that a kid's being taken. He has a lot of traumatic experiences with losing somebody, and it really is pretty much around the entire movie center is that he's literally, tormented by the fact that he lost his brother. So, I mean, that's the whole premise of the movie, besides, the rest of the movie, but for the most part, that's the plot. Okay. Moving on. Anyway, so in terms of plot, honestly, it got pretty weird by the time that the animatronics started becoming friendly. But once they got more sinister, the plot really thickened and gave us a little bit of some suspense and tension by the fact that they wanted to make Abby, which is his sister, by the way, that is one of the characters, making her basically like them. And we'll discuss why like them in quotations is not exactly what they actually want. So moving on from plot, and by the way, just a final note on the plot, I think it was okay, but I think it could have had a little more work done to it. I think that they really rushed a lot. Like if the movie was 2 hours or 2.5 hours, I think it could have been stretched more and the plot could have been better, because the build up at the end was iconic, but it definitely was not. It was not as good as I thought it was going to be, but the build up definitely was there, so it nailed it on that. Everything else pretty much just fell flat for me. But we move on to characters. Characters in this movie are interesting. So Mike Schmidt is pretty much the protagonist, and he's pretty much the guy that we follow the entire time. In terms of his character, I liked him. I think he was actually really good. I think that he was actually very entertaining. But I think that they used his little dream sequence thing a little too much, in my opinion. I think they definitely used it way too much. I'm not gonna lie, it was very iffy, if best. But it worked in some aspects. It definitely helped the story move along, and the story is something to be said. But for the most part, all the characters were pretty good. Vanessa was honestly my favorite. She was definitely the most well written in the movie, besides the main character who's supposed to be well written, and he wasn't. And Abby is just a sassy little B word, dude. She is all over the place, and she was perfect. I loved her character. She was great. The aunt, however, I am so glad that they gave her barely any screen time, and when they finally gave her actual recognition, they killed her off. So it was fantastic, by the way. It was perfect. I hated her so much. So for her to get very little screen time and then get killed off screen, perfect ending to a character that was literally the worst in the entire movie. And the lawyer, dude, he always looked like he was about ready to have a heart attack with this woman around. As for every other character in the show, Corey Kenshin, obviously he was in it, and I just honestly, it was so perfect, his cameo. They literally didn't need anything else. I liked it. I think it was good. You know, I wanted Markiplier, but we got Corey, and Corey's still cool too. You know, he's cool. I like him. All right, moving on to setting. The setting, well, actually, I said atmosphere was first before setting, but we're just going to switch it around because setting is a little bit faster to go through than atmosphere. Setting, it definitely was really well put together for like the horror aspect. In terms of being scary, though, I think that it fell flat way hard. I generally, watching the movie, I generally was not scared at all. And I know that that's like pretty like harsh to say, but I generally was just not scared in the slightest. There was nothing was scary in that movie. I personally, I just liked it because it was entertaining and it was about a video game that I actually enjoy. So that was the only thing that I took from that. Scare wise, it was just, I could have been 5 years old watching that and not be scared in the slightest. It was very mediocre when it came to scares. It was definitely not scary. Violence wise though, it was decent. Again, it's not R-rated, so you know they went with the PG-13 rating. They thought that worked for the movie. I'm gonna be honest, and a lot of people have already said this, they don't want it to be PG-13, but it came out to be anyway. It worked kind of, but it also didn't work for me. I personally think if it was R-rated, it would have been better because, you know, the ending probably would have been a lot more graphic, which would have made it so much better for that moment. But they didn't, so you know they stepped with PG-13, and that's their fault. So, you know, they didn't listen to us. You know, like most Hollywood, they don't listen to fans. So, atmosphere is definitely, there was so much tension building, there was so much world building. I mean, it was great. Like atmosphere wise, every time they walked into the Pizzaplex and every time the animatronics moved around and stuff. Even when they were nice or like moving around, you still felt genuine like uncomfortability around them being, you know, friendly, and you generally did feel really nice and a nice vibe to it. I'd say you feel a nice vibe to, you know, seeing the kids that, you know, were killed by William, and you know, it really was well done. That part was great. I actually really enjoyed that part. Every time he went into the dream sequence, and that was the only time that I liked it, was when they were around. But yeah, so now we move on to conclusion. How was the ending, and was it good, and was the movie good? Overall, I'd give it about a 7 out of 10. I think it really nailed a lot of things nostalgia wise, because the game that it based off was about 9 years old. But for the most part, I think that it nailed it. It was very nostalgic, very good. I think that William's introduction was a little rushed at the end because of the fact that they probably only had like 20 minutes left of the film, and he eventually shows up. It would have been nice to have Mike talk more to, obviously, person who was William, which was his career counselor. It would have been great if they actually talked more and more, and then eventually, you know, they have a sit down, and then, you know, William obviously tries to stab him or kill him, and then they set up to where he gets into the bunny suit and stuff. The bunny suit, by the way, looked great. It was awesome. It looked really good. It was creepy as hell. It made William so much more sadistic. It would have been nice to, you know, have him have the mask on and say, I always come back, and he didn't. But Matt Lauer is Matt Lauer, and he's always so good with his lines. He always delivers perfectly. The way that, you know, William was talking down to the kids and calling them trash, calling them nothing, just really shows how much William pretty much fell by the end of it. When he eventually gets spring-locked, he was already just a deranged, psychotic murderer. And for that, him getting spring-locked to death in front of the kids that he killed was perfect, and it literally symbolized literally what happened in the end of Fnaf. I think it was in Fnaf 2 where they showed the kids watching William die. So I think it worked. I think it was good. But yeah, overall, that's my thoughts on the movie. Would I watch it again? And was it good? I would say it was good. I say it was a good movie. I think that it was definitely for the fans, because critics hated the fuck out of the movie. They hated this movie. Oh my god, the rating on there is almost at 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. They despised this movie. However, I am happy to say that the audience rating is almost at 100%. So clearly the fans know what a good movie is, and the critics can go shove it, because they clearly were looking at story more than they were actual nostalgia. That's my thoughts on it. Let me know in the comments if you guys enjoyed the movie, if you guys liked it, and also please subscribe. You know, that really helps the channel a lot. And again, let's talk in the comments, discuss. Did you guys like the movie? Did you guys think it was meh? Did you guys think it was really bad? Did you think that it was everything that you would hope for? And personally, if you went into it thinking that it was going to be really good story-wise and plot-wise, you probably should have just went in there with more nostalgia instead of anything else. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video adventure. Goodbye.